too many years. Uh, but anyway, at age 35, had a heart attack, and I refused. Was the old sledgehammer in the chest at my youngest son's 5th birthday party, and knocked me down on the ground. And a few minutes later, I felt no pain, and I did nothing for months, actually. And when the angina symptoms started, night sweats, leg cramp, shortness of breath, pinches in the chest, I did seek, pardon me, medical attention. And I did refuse everything from surgery to any pharmaceuticals. I didn't even look for an alternative, which still amazes me to this day that I didn't think of that. Certainly knew nothing about natural medicine. And 5 years later, as I went downhill gradually, the luckiest day of my life when I found these Strauss heart drops. I take them every day still. It's almost 30 years now. I'll never stop. I don't want to go back anything close to the way I was. I had developed high blood pressure and an irregular heartbeat, which really drove me crazy. I felt every raced beat. They called it supraventricular tachycardia, and it was a 1-beat race. I thought my heart was skipping a beat every 6 or 7 beats. As I say, I felt every one. I went to sleep with it. I woke up with it. Oftentimes, I would sit up fast and gasp as though I wasn't going to get my next breath. I always did. But it was very uncomfortable. And anyway, on that lucky day, when I got my first bottle of Strauss heart drops, I was so hopeful, and I took it religiously, and I noticed things pretty quickly. My hearing returned to my left ear so that I could actually hear using the telephone in my left ear in 2 weeks. It was maybe a month when my energy started to increase. I cleared my bronchial and so forth for a week or so. And the energy increase was phenomenal to me. It was just incredible. I started in the first year on Strauss Heart Drops. I started 3 new businesses. I already had a number of businesses, family businesses, and I was just like a house on fire. And Jim Strauss lived with my family twice a year for 1 month at a time over the course of 6 years. I was very close with Jim, and it was the best education I could have gotten anywhere in the world. Being with him, all day, every day. I followed him around. He did lectures and radio shows, and eventually I took those over for him. But the Strauss heart drops were made for Jim Strauss after a massive heart attack, I think in 1979. It's actually the newest Strauss family formula. Ironically, it's certainly our flagship formula, 46 years commercially available now. And I think it's the greatest medicine that's ever been created in this world. There is nothing like it. And what the heart drops are created to do is for you to have blood flow everywhere you have a vessel, vein, artery, tiny capillary to your skin to carry it. You're meant to have blood flow. Blood flow is our most important body function, with 50,000 kilometers of vessels in each one of us. Hard to believe, twice around the earth. It's almost impossible to believe, but it's true. The reason for it is every single cell needs blood, from the hair on our head to our toenails. Everything needs blood. And where we have a restriction, or worse, a blockage, we're going to have trouble no matter where it is in our body. We tend to think of, the blood flow is the only highway, the only transportation system in our body. It carries the oxygen, the all-important oxygen, where if we're lacking it to our heart, we can have a heart attack, to our brain, a stroke, or a brain attack. Really, our brain uses 20% of all the oxygen we take in. So it carries our medicine, our food, our water, our wastewater. It's the only highway. So it's pretty important that we keep our blood flowing everywhere we have a vessel. And the Strauss heart drops, I've just never in these 30 years seen or heard of anything like them. They are, of course, our largest selling product because it's for our largest killer. It's heart disease. And Jim Strauss was told he needed a quadruple bypass. He was so lucky he had his heart attack just meters from the Vancouver hospital. They told him without surgery that day he could die. He went home. I've heard the story many times from he and his son Peter. They worked for the afternoon. The hospital told him what was wrong. Plaquing arteries, clogged arteries. And they figured the Strauss family for 8 generations have been medicine men. So they always have herbs. They always did. But long before they went into commercial business, they were medicine men and medicine women. So Jim and Peter, with a gram scale and chewing, it took about 3 hours to develop the Strauss heart drops, knew they had the formula right. Pete made it into a tincture for his dad. And Jim was unable to walk or lay down for the angina pain. He sat in an easy chair. Well, in 2.5 weeks, Jim could walk across the street to his mailbox. And in 6.5 weeks, he went back to work for 25 years. Never a pharmaceutical, never a surgery. And Jim actually choked to death, aspiration, in his 86th or 87th year. And I miss him very much, and I'll be forever grateful for him, his family, and their development of these incredible herbal formulas. So some other important points before we get too deep into the formulas and much on women's health tonight. The Strauss formulas are 100% natural, and they do not contraindicate with any pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals and herbal medicine are as different as man-made chemicals and food. They're that much different. And these will work notwithstanding any pharmaceuticals you may be on. I've seen so much in the past 30 years. My father got his bypass surgery canceled in Boston. One of my best pal, Joe, former teammate, his bypass surgery canceled. My former back catcher in baseball and dear friend had to have a valve job, open heart surgery at age 29. And after that, his infarction rate, his heart just didn't operate properly. He was born with a heart murmur. And the Strauss heart drops just changed his life. He had so much energy. So story after story. When it comes to diabetics, it's really something what it's done for them. Blood flow is their biggest challenge. We always recommend they stay on the Strauss heart drops. They don't need to take extra, but blood flow is so crucial to them, and they have a 4 to 5 times greater chance of a heart attack or stroke than the population that does not have diabetes. So very serious diabetes. And they can lose their toes, their feet, their legs, their eyesight. It's a very serious disease. And along with all the other Schedule A disease, all of these are diseases that can kill you. Every Schedule A disease is on the rise. Our medical system is losing the battle against disease. I mean, doctors are wonderful if we need to be patched up or a new knee or a hip replacement. It's incredible what they can do. Our diagnostics are incredible today with Western medicine. When it comes to disease, we're losing the battle. And so these formulas do not contraindicate with any pharmaceuticals. That's number one. In 46 years commercially available, there's not been one complaint to the Strauss company. Excuse me, when a drop went down my air pipe. Not a complaint to the company, pardon me, to Health Canada or the FDA in the United States. Just pardon me for a minute. Boy, that sounds good. I'm sorry. There's a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Anyone that buys any formula is not satisfied, the company insists you get a 100% refund. No questions asked. Most formulas are taken from 3 to 6 months, with the exception of the heart drops. The Strauss heart drops, we recommend a minimum of 1 year. For many people, 18 months is better. If they've had bypass surgery, stents, if they've shown to have restrictions and clogged arteries and so forth, they would want to be on it for 18 months minimum. It's a process, just like getting clogged up is a process. I didn't drink the first 10 milkshakes that first day and have a heart attack. It's a process, clogging our arteries and restricting our blood flow is, and so is making ourselves better. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not magic. It just works, and every drop works of the heart drops. So we recommend those for 12 to 18 months. Most other formulas, 3 months. When I took the kidney blood pressure years ago for 3 months, my blood pressure went down to 120/70, so help me God, and stayed there for decades until after 3 bouts of COVID, I caught myocarditis, inflammation of the heart. That was very tough. I can see why it killed so many seniors. Very, very tough inflammation of the heart. And if not for having been on the Strauss heart drops for so long and having such a strong heart, I realized it could have taken me. But anyway, thank goodness. And the only thing I did was take the 3 formulas that I ended up taking in the beginning, almost 30 years ago with Jim Strauss. When I met Jim, I told him that I have energy. I feel I'm a new man. It's unbelievable, these heart drops, but I still had high blood pressure and I had an irregular heartbeat, as I said. Jim said, well, if you've been on the heart drops for 5 months and your blood pressure hasn't dropped, then your kidneys are the problem. Now, Western medicine can't tell us, which kind of amazes me with all the incredible diagnostics, but it's either the heart or the kidneys. It can be one kidney. It can be the heart and the kidneys because they're both so much responsible and involved in blood pressure. But when I took the Strauss kidney blood pressure formula, 3 months, 120/70 for, as I said, for 20 odd years, the arrhythmia, which is Western medicine's hardest heart ailment to treat, the irregular heartbeat. 3 months on the Strauss Cardiocom in the United States, called Cardio Support, my heart went regular again and didn't ever go out of rhythm until I got that myocarditis. And there were days there where just a 10-step walk to the washroom, it would go up to 200 beats a minute and flutter, and I could hardly breathe. But I did only take the Strauss heart drops, the kidney blood pressure formula, and the Cardiocom. That's all I took. I didn't take an aspirin. I didn't take anything else. And I did better than 3 much younger people that I know of, children of folks that work for us in our other businesses, recycling businesses. I did much better and got better much faster than any of them. They were in the hospital. None of them were on the same drugs. That told me something that, we had so little experience with myocarditis. It wasn't a thing doctors were used to seeing. They see a lot more of it these days. I still don't know if they have any kind of handle on it, because these 3 young people there wasn't one pharmaceutical or pill in common between the 3 of them. They were in 3 different hospitals. So that certainly shook my confidence further, and I just stayed with the Strauss formulas. We recommend the heart drops certainly for diabetics, for angina sufferers, enlarged heart, congestive heart failure, anyone who's had bypass surgery, anyone who's had stents, where they seek to increase the blood flow. And oftentimes the plaque will form at the seams of those stents. And people need either more stents or replacement. I've talked to many. And of course, high blood pressure. If you take both unless you know, because your doctor can't tell you, which it is, your heart or your kidneys, that causes your high blood pressure, when you take both, we guarantee that your blood pressure will normalize. That's a satisfaction guarantee. Every herb in the Strauss formulas is historically well known and proven to do the things that they do. This is not new stuff. It wasn't even new when the Strausses started in the natural medicine business 8 generations ago. For centuries, many of these herbs have been well known to do what they do and help how they help with our human body. Jim Strauss used to say, if you're not made from it, it cannot fix you. And that to expect man-made chemical drugs, which weren't around when humans were created, of course, to expect them to heal us would be like taking our car to the lumber yard, hoping they could fix it with 2x4s and plywood. You couldn't. You need materials the car is made from. We need cells that we're made from to actually help heal us, to help our bodies do what they're supposed to do. So there's a huge difference between natural medicine, natural herbal medicine, and man-made chemical pharmaceuticals. A huge difference. Pardon me. Some other things that are very important that really have nothing to do with Strauss, but very important for our health and well-being. Of course, I'd say number one is drinking enough water. For the most part, the great majority of us do not drink enough. It's amazing how much we need. In the wintertime, if you have cracked lips or cracked hands, very dry skin, that's a sign of a shortage of water. You need more good drinking water. And in the wintertime is generally when we're the least thirsty. We're not sweating, we're not out in the heat, but it's just as important in the wintertime. Dehydration is a Schedule A disease and it can kill us. So we need to drink enough water. I start every day with a tumbler this size, 16-ounce tumbler of good water. I use the alkaline water to try and help keep the body's pH not too acidic. In acid, everything bad can grow, including cancer. So I use alkaline water. I put our granular vitamin C in it, and a lemon, at least one whole lemon. And that is the best way to start your day. That lemon gives your liver a little knock. If you're constipated, it's certainly the best thing to take. Death starts in the colon, Jim Strauss used to say. And how long would we stay in the kitchen if we never took the garbage out? Not very long. Well, it's the same thing with our bodies. We want the waste out. So constipation, you don't want to live with. Our body's 62% water. Our lungs are over 80% water. Our sinuses rely on water to make the mucus that we can get rid of and clear our sinuses and our congestion. So water is very important. Force yourself if you need to. I have one of my medicine men, and fellows I think the world of. He starts his day, he drinks 4 tumblers of water. That's how he starts his day. Now, that's a lot of water. I start with 1, sometimes a second one, but I'm conscious through the day, whether I'm thirsty or not. I drink more tumblers of water. It's just so necessary. And I know when I don't have enough water, itchy skin, as I said, dry or cracked lips, cracks in your hands during the wintertime. So water will always be important. Weight loss. There have never been so many people overweight as there are today. And it's not all our fault. It's some of the advertising, the diet with so much refined sugars and salt, much more than we can tolerate. Genetically modified foods. We're meant to have natural foods, like the Creator put here. These GMO foods are just not doing it for us. You know, seedless fruits or vegetables they can't reproduce themselves. It takes a seed to reproduce anything. A pine tree, a human, a giraffe, takes a seed. So these seedless foods, or frankenfoods, some people call them, they cannot reproduce themselves. Anything that can't reproduce itself has a weak immune system. Hence, these crops and produce and fruits They'll spray insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, chemical fertilizers, sometimes chemical preservatives to ship citrus, for example, from California or Florida all the way north up here to Canada. Uh, so we are surrounded today by chemicals, literally. All the plastic in our lives, my God, it's just which are all made from chemicals. So between chemicals and GMO foods, Jim Strauss always believed was the cause of most cancers. Cancer when I was young was sort of rare. You just didn't hear about it often. Today, there isn't anybody that doesn't know someone that has cancer, has been lost to cancer, or is fighting it. It's very close to taking over as our number one killer is cancer. There's a reason for that, folks. So between all these chemicals, there's even chlorine in some city water. I mean, you know what it does in a swimming pool when you go in there? Your hair's like a wire, like SOS pads, and your skin gets dry. So there's many strikes against us these days in our health. For weight loss, they say the average person has 30 pounds of toxins and waste inside them. 30 pounds. So if a person was 300 pounds and was determined to lose weight and be 200 pounds or 230 pounds, that's a lot of weight. Now, assuming the 300-pound person only had 30 pounds of toxins and waste in them, let's make that assumption, although it likely is more. But if they had that 30-pound average and they went down to 200 pounds without detoxing or cleansing as they were losing the weight, then and reached their 200-pound goal, then they went from a body mass that's 10% toxins and poisons and waste to 15%. And we all know people who have lost a lot of weight, didn't look good. One of the indications for me was always blotchy color. Their color was not even, red blotches. And sometimes they get sick and sometimes they die. Well, if they haven't detoxed and cleansed, clean tissues are the best thing we can have. If they've done none of that, as I said, they just increase their percentage of toxins by 50%. And that is not what you want. So if you're going on a weight loss program, please do some cleansing. Colon cleansings are good. The Strauss formulas all have a cleansing effect: prostate, bladder, kidneys, our arteries and heart circulatory system. If you're going to lose a lot of weight, that is the thing to do. Stomach ailments. What is magic is sauerkraut, European sauerkraut. 2 ingredients only: green cabbage and salt. Not wine or vinegar. That could hurt your stomach. But you could have ulcers. And if you take 2 to 3 forkfuls of European sauerkraut, chew it well, before eating anything, before breakfast, lunch, dinner, a snack, a cookie, and a cup of tea, 2 or 3 forkfuls of sauerkraut, chewed well. In 10 days, you have a new stomach lining. Our stomach lining is sodium. So in 10 days, you can heal yourself with $3 or $4 worth of sauerkraut. In Canada, we spend between $30 and $40 million a day on stomach disorders. Again, I've seen this loads of times. It works. My dad, it worked for him. They thought it was his gallbladder, and the Cleveland Clinic in Fort Lauderdale, it wasn't. Jim Strauss told me what to do. My dad thought he was crazy, but he left the hospital the next morning and with a couple of doses of sauerkraut. Amazing to me. So remember, not sauerkraut with wine or vinegar, cabbage and salt. That's the only 2 ingredients. I think the best 5 medicinal herbs in the world are lemons, cayenne pepper, green cabbage, onions, and garlic. They would, I believe, have to be the top 5 medicinal herbs that we have available to us. Crohn's colitis, the inability to digest fiber. Ironically, there's only one fix: fiber. So because you can't digest fiber, there's 2 things and 2 things only that you need to do. One is to get digestive enzymes. Strauss doesn't make them. These are vegetable enzymes. I use a brand called Super Enzymes. They're in veggie caps and they're vegetable enzymes. And if someone with Crohn's colitis um, takes those before every meal, and for a period of time, not forever. I mean, the digestive enzymes that person would be wise to stay on, but for a period of time, I would guess an average would be 3 to 4 weeks. Put all your food in a blender. Make it like baby food. It'll taste the same. You'll get the fiber, and that blender will break it up so that you can begin to digest it. The super enzymes are like having a little shredder in your stomach that helps digest. And of course, the best thing of all is chewing your food very well, not swallowing chunks, but chew your food well. That will do many things for you. Digestion starts with saliva in our mouth. So chew your food well, super enzymes for a period of time, food in a blender. Doesn't matter what you're having, spaghetti and meatballs, roast beef, green beans, and mashed potatoes. There's only one thing that you shouldn't eat, and that's the skins of apples. So if you're going to have apple, you'd put that in the blender too, but you'd peel it first. The apple skins are too tough to digest when you have those conditions. I've seen what you'd call miracles. Young lady, beautiful young lady, 25 years old, got down to 80 something pounds. She never stopped bleeding. She was going for transfusions, sometimes once, sometimes twice a week. And when she got onto this regime, in 3 weeks, she gained 12 pounds, stopped bleeding, and from there went on to a normal life. Very inexpensive. The only thing you have to buy is the super enzymes. If you have a blender, you'd have to buy a blender too, but they're not too expensive. So that's for Crohn's colitis. As I said, with the toxins in our body, it's ironic, or when you can't digest fiber, it's only fiber that will help you and help fix you. The same thing as if you were toxic with copper, it would lay in the top of your gut. Let's say you worked in a copper smelter and you were ingesting copper you couldn't digest or your body couldn't use. The fix is copper that you can absorb. That will get rid of that copper that lays in the top of your gut. So it's kind of ironic, the very thing sometimes that's causing us trouble, like with the fiber, is the very thing we need to heal ourselves. Lastly, but certainly not last on the list, exercise and stretching. I don't mean strenuous exercise. I'm 72 years old myself. I bought a $50 stationary bicycle at a garage sale for my friend a year or so ago. And I pretty religiously, at least 6 days a week, usually do 30 to 40 minutes, which will be, it's not one that climbs mountains and it gets harder. Mine is just on one speed, if you will. And they say we should do 20 minutes of that light to moderate exercise 3 to 4 times a week. I pretty much do it 6 or 7 times a week. And what a difference. I mean, it's good for your heart. It's good for your lungs. It's good to strengthen your legs. Just the movement. We're given arms and legs to use them. So they're very important. And an exercise bicycle is a very good, no impact way to get that exercise. You're burning calories too. Now stretching, we can stretch in bed, turning your head side to side, for example, rolling your neck, looking down over your right shoulder, the middle, over your left shoulder, pointing your toes, pointing your heels, stretching your core, one side or the other. So we can literally stretch in bed. If you're lucky enough to have a garden, you can go out on your hands and knees, pick weeds, pick your tomatoes and so forth. But some exercise is crucial. Just a stroll. I don't think anybody doesn't feel better after they've had a walk. Fresh air. I've spent for quite a few years, much of the winter in Florida. It's my second home. I went to university there. And I noticed one thing through the winter. There's 80 and 90-year-old people walking that. I go to Hollywood Beach most often, walking that boardwalk. We're up here in the winter and the ice and snow and so forth. It's not even safe to walk. The other thing that bicycle will do is give you strength to your legs. And as you get older, you want to have strong legs and decent balance because when you fall and break a hip, too often people get pneumonia from the stationary business while your hip is healing and die. So you want to try and have strong legs. Uh, but you can stretch in bed. And it's important because if you did nothing but sit on the couch, your muscles will atrophy. They will shrink. And you've seen people who walk hunched over and really can't get full movement. So very important. It doesn't have to be strenuous. If you're using weights, it doesn't have to be a lot of weight. If you're in a wheelchair, you could use 2 cans of beans, something light, quarter pound, half pound, and do some exercises. So it's all very important. Now we'll get deeper into the products. The Strauss Heart Drops, as I mentioned, is an incredible product. They act as a deterrent, as a detergent to clear congested arteries and vessels. They're helpful in clearing varicose veins and dissolving that congealed blood. Strengthens our circulatory system, maintains normal fat and cholesterol levels in our blood. Flushes unwanted toxins and metals from our blood, and useful for most heart problems, as I mentioned a little earlier. The ingredients in the Strauss Heart Drops, there's a lot of talk these days, a lot of advertising and promoting of aged garlic capsules. These are great. Aged garlic is great. It's the #1 ingredient in the Strauss Heart Drops. But these other herbs that are in the Strauss Heart Drops and the synergies and the synergistic value of those herbs. The Strausses didn't add herbs because it didn't matter. They added herbs because they just made everything work better. And they had their craft down so well that these formulas are all incredible. So in the Heart Drops, there's that extract of aged garlic. There's hawthorn berry, hawthorn leaf, cayenne pepper, bilberry leaf, motherwort, white willow bark, and European mistletoe. And they work synergistically, that every drop of those heart drops work. It is a process, but there'll be no mistaking when you have more energy and when you possibly notice other changes in yourself. But energy is the big thing, and nobody has too much energy. It's just the best thing to have. To explain a couple of the herbs, well, garlic helps lower the blood pressure and improve circulation. It adds in the treatment of heart disorders and circulatory problems. It detoxifies the body and protects against infection by enhancing our immune system. Hawthorn dilates the coronary blood vessels, lowers cholesterol levels, and restores damaged heart muscle. Useful for anemia, cardiovascular and circulatory disorders, high cholesterol, and lowered immunity. Cayenne improves circulation, aids in digestion, and repairs the stomach lining. Acts as a catalyst for other herbs. It's good for the heart, kidneys, lungs, pancreas, spleen, and stomach. It's an excellent stimulant and helps lower cholesterol levels. That's the world famous Strauss Heart Drops. You take them under your tongue. You have to shake the bottle vigorously. These are all made with natural herbs, so although they're minute, very small granules, all these formulas, you shake vigorously. We don't want something sitting on the bottom. We want you to have the proper full formula. So you shake them vigorously and you put them under your tongue for a minute or so. That way, some of it will go directly into your bloodstream and get to work. In a minute or so, you can swallow the balance and it'll go through your digestive system and also work, of course. Your satisfaction again is guaranteed. So don't refrigerate the heart drops. Never put them in the microwave or heat them up. All the formulas are in dark brown glass bottles because the sunlight and heat is not good. So yeah, no refrigeration, no freezing, no microwave, and you won't be sorry. So if you're only going to take one thing, if there was only one natural medicine or medicine period available to us in my opinion, it would be the Strauss heart drops are the thing to take, because circulation is the most important body function. Now we'll deal with, there's a couple of other products, formulas just for women, but I'd like to talk about the Strauss bladder formula. Incontinence, leaking, getting up too many times through the night to the bathroom. Geez, my poor mom, before she went on the bladder drops, first of all, she'd get up 4 or 5 times through the night and always had trouble getting back to sleep. So she was just exhausted. And when she took the bladder formula and eventually got off any of her meds, she'd get up at the most once through the night, like me now. I used to be the same, but I could get to sleep, back to sleep easily. I drove to Florida with her once. I said, Ma, if we've got to keep stopping at every other exit, we're going to be 5 days getting there. I was, pulling her leg, but it can be annoying, I'm sure, when you sneeze or cough, leaking. And one of the most important things that are in the bladder formula, the kidney formula, and the prostate formula for men, they're also in the immune formula, is nature's strongest antibiotic herb, golden seal root. That is a powerful, powerful antibiotic herb. And I believe that bacteria is at the root of a lot of health problems. We're not meant to have all that bacteria, parasites. We're just not meant to have them. So this helps kill the bacteria so the body can be rid of it. And that's a major issue in the bladder and the kidneys. These are wet areas, our urinary system, the prostate for men. Ironically, they have exactly the same ingredients, the prostate for men and the bladder formula for men and women. However, the formulation is much different in as much as they're not the same quantities of each herb in the two formulas. They're quite different in the two formulas. Same ingredients, same herbs, but in different proportions between the bladder and the prostate. So, the ingredients, blueberry leaf, juniper berry, saw palmetto berry, birch leaf, corn silk, linden flower, nettle leaf, white willow bark, golden seal root, and uva ursi leaf. But as I said, the difference between the bladder and the prostate formulas is the quantities of each. That's where they differ greatly. And of course, men can take the bladder formula. Women don't need to take the prostate formula. So just to review some of those herbs, the blueberry leaf acts as a urinary tract antiseptic, a diuretic, and an antioxidant. Inhibits the growth of bacteria. Juniper berry, helpful in the treatment of prostate disorders, bladder infection, fluid retention, gout, obesity, and asthma. Also alleviates urinary tract problems such as gallstones and urine retention. Saw palmetto berry acts directly on the enlarged prostate to reduce inflammation, pain, throbbing, and swelling. It has been called the plant catheter because of its tonic effect on the neck of the bladder and on the prostate. Studies indicate saw palmetto berry is about 90% effective in treating an enlarged prostate or benign prostate hypertrophy. It's BPH. It's even more effective when used in synergistic blends with these other herbs. Golden seal root, again, fights infection and inflammation, cleanses the body, good for disorders affecting the bladder, prostate, stomach, or vagina. Also heals mucous membranes throughout the body. That's the ingredients, some of the ingredients, at least, in the bladder and the prostate. The other thing that you will experience with the bladder formula, men with the prostate formula, men and women with the kidney formula, is that your symptoms, going to the bathroom too much, for example, leaking, all this kind of thing, incontinence, you will get relief from your symptoms within 7 days. Urinary tract infections and so forth. You will notice a difference within 7 days. But please, you haven't done the complete job. So please take these for a minimum of 3 months. do the complete job. Bacteria in these parts of our body grows back very quickly, and these parts of our body are stubborn to accept help, medicine of any kind. So don't be fooled. It's wonderful that you can feel better with your symptoms in such short order. That's a great thing. But you want to do the job completely. You don't want to do a part job and then be suffering a month or two later. It's very important. The same thing with the prostate, as I said, the same thing with the kidney. And let's say you have no issues that you know of. You're just taking this for prevention, which these formulas, which is a very, very wise thing to do. Someone close to me had no issues, great blood pressure rather, very healthy eating style, exercise every day. Took the kidney formula recently, and it had quite a cleansing effect. One of the things that was noticed was mucus that this person expelled when going to the bathroom. So it's always wise to take any of these formulas because they just aren't amongst the herbal ingredients are herbs and ingredients that are good for that part of our body. They're good for us. So it's good support for these systems and organs. And that's very important. Very smart to take these things for prevention. I mean, if you had a heart attack, I'd still say the best thing you can do, with me, is take the Strauss heart drops. No question about it. Better to avoid the heart attack and prevent it, in my opinion, or any other serious ailment. So, the prevention is a great idea. There are many people like me that continue to take the Strauss heart drops for years and years. They don't want to have trouble, or they don't want to go back to the trouble they had, like me. And with these other formulas, like I do, there's no set course, to be honest with you. I take a lot of supplements and take a lot of the Strauss formulas. But I'd say that at least every 18 months or 2 years, I will take one bottle of each formula. And it's just for prevention, for cleansing, for good support to that part of my body. And that's why I do it. I have very clean tissues, and I believe that is the most important thing to have. The Woman's Wonder formula. And I'm so excited that in this past year, we had these approved by Health Canada in the liquid form. They're not new formulas. The Woman's Wonder is for the difficulties suffered during the menstrual cycle for ladies and young ladies and teenagers. In my tour across the country into hundreds of health stores, I heard from owners and managers that their daughter or one of their staff was missing a day or two a month because they felt so poorly during their cycle. This is an incredible formula. Some of the herbs, just to let you know: squaw vine herb, raspberry leaf, cramp bark, blessed thistle, uber ursi leaf, Don K root, ginger root, golden seal root. There's nature's antibiotic herb again. Lobelia, marshmallow root, and false unicorn root. The squaw vine herb is good for menstrual cramps and preparation for childbirth, relieves pelvic congestion, and soothes the nervous system. Raspberry leaf, good for female disorders such as cramps, morning sickness, and hot flashes. Decreases menstrual bleeding, relaxes uterine and intestinal spasms, and strengthens the uterine walls. Cramp bark, highly recognized for its success in the treatment of excessive blood loss during menstruation. It's remarkably effective for relaxing the uterine muscles and is a powerful antispasmodic, proving very effective in relaxing cramps and spasms of all kinds. And Don K root increases the effectiveness of ovarian hormones used in the treatment of female problems such as premenstrual syndrome, vaginal dryness, hot flashes, and other menopausal symptoms. The great thing about this formula, folks, is it's taken only 3 days per month. If a lady or young lady is regular with their cycle, the day before it starts should be day 1 of 3. If they're not regular, the day their period starts would be day 1 of 3 days. And it's 3 full droppers 3 times a day for those 3 days only. And it's amazing, really. Very few women need a second bottle, which does amaze me. I mean, you can't cure or stop the menstrual cycle, but you can not suffer, not lose time at school or lose time at work or just feel so poorly. I'm going to get to these questions, folks, as soon as I'm done. Don't worry. And we can stay on longer if you like. And so I just want to get through this. The menopause formula is also incredible. Not new again, but new in liquid form this past year. And it is our most complex formula with 20 herbs. There are 20 different herbs in the Strauss menopause formula, and they are blue cohosh root. And you can research any of these herbs and pubgov.med or govmed.pub. I can't remember now, but you can research any of these herbs and the historical uses of them. So in the menopause formula, there's blue cohosh root, black cohosh root, pennyroyal herb, squaw vine herb, raspberry leaf, cramp bark, uva ursi leaf, valerian root, lady slipper root, ginseng root, ginger root, bayberry bark, lady's mantle herb, saffron flower, periwinkle herb, donkey root, blessed thistle, false unicorn root, sarsaparilla root, damiana leaf, licorice root, and lobelia. 20 different herbs. And what's it for? It's to ease or get rid of the hot flashes where ladies all of a sudden feel like they're in a broiler. It's incredible how that comes on. And the night sweats that so many women suffer, where you'll soak your bedclothes and soak the bed every night. This, again, satisfaction guarantee, and it works. And all of these herbs, 20 herbs, you can think of it as good food for your system. They all have a purpose. There's no question about it. There's nothing been put into these formulas by chance. The raspberry leaf decreases menstrual bleeding, relaxes uterine and intestinal spasms, and strengthens the uterine walls. Good for female disorders, including morning sickness, hot flashes, and menstrual cramps. Lady's mantle herb eases the changes of menopause, reduces pain associated with excess bleeding. Donkey root increases the effectiveness of ovarian hormones used in the treatment of female problems such as hot flashes and other menopausal symptoms, premenstrual syndrome, and vaginal dryness. Damiana leaf, used to remedy sexual and hormonal problems, stimulates muscle contraction of the intestinal tract and brings oxygen to the genital area. Also used as an energy tonic and aphrodisiac for women. Great formula. That's suffering. It's a shame, really. Women are obviously tougher than men from a young age. The menstrual cycle every month can spoil 3 days or more of your month. And then you bear children, and then you never know when it'll come on. Really, from the age of the early 40s up till 70s, you can still be suffering some of these effects, mood swings, and so forth. So the menopause formula, incredible, satisfaction guaranteed, safe. You won't be sorry, that's for sure. Now, 2 others, the kidney blood pressure formula, which is just a wonderful formula for our kidneys and very effective if the kidneys are your source of your high blood pressure. Juniper berry, uva ursi leaf, marshmallow root, goldenrod, parsley leaf, ginger root, horsetail, golden seal root, nettle leaf, gravel root, and lobelia. I'm amazed with parsley, for example, that we maybe tend to think of as a garnish on the side of our dinner plate. It's quite an herb. Good for high blood pressure, kidney disease, bedwetting, fluid retention, gas, halitosis, indigestion, obesity, and prostate disorders. Helps kidney, bladder, liver, lung, stomach, and thyroid function. Um, the And these other herbs, I mean, they just work synergistically and promotes healthy kidneys. That's the thing I have to stress, that all these formulas aren't just for the issues like golden seal root, the antibiotic herb. They're just very healthy for these parts of our body. The Cardiocom formula, for two things. It was developed for a long, long time ago. Damaged heart cells and irregular heartbeat. And the irregular heartbeat is why I took it. The ingredients are hawthorn berry, sarsaparilla root, skullcap herb, peppermint leaf, mistletoe leaf, and hawthorn leaf. Now, this doesn't happen often, believe me, and I was almost shocked. About a year and a half ago, Health Canada contacted the company and said, if we added a bit more skullcap root, there's already that in the formula, as I just said, that if we added a bit more, we could claim this as a calmative for anxiety. Now, we already had one staff member who had for many years taken it for anxiety herself. And so that was something. Of course, the company did add that little bit extra skullcap root, and now we can claim it as well for a calmative. It makes sense. If it calms our heartbeat down, that it would have that effect in our bodies. So irregular heartbeat, this is what I took, and this is what many former teammates, football players, we wear out our pump. We wear out our heart. And anybody that played 5 years longer than high school in the downline position lives an average 10 years less than the average male. And it's because, 100 times a day, our heart gets torqued right to the max. Two big guys pushing against each other. It's a very violent game, but we do wear out our heart. I've seen a lot of sad stories with the pacemaker, which is one of the things that Western medicine recommends, the pacemaker, to shock your heart when it gets out of rhythm. They have a dangerous pharmaceutical that you daresn't miss a pill. There was a young player for, I think it was Duke University in the Final Four basketball many years ago, thought he would skip the day of the final championship game, and his heart failed him, and he died right on the court. A doctor recommended that to me, and when the pharmacist told me that, I said, don't fill that. I'm not interested in that. I told you how much I was bothered with my arrhythmia, but I wasn't willing to do. And he said to me, you're a pretty young guy to be taking something like this the rest of your life. So I never did take that. Some of these questions now. Pardon me. Can someone who has only one kidney take the kidney and blood pressure Strauss drops? Absolutely. Absolutely. Valita may be more important for that person than someone who has two kidneys. So there's absolutely no reason that you could not. People that have transplants take immune suppressing drugs so that their body doesn't kill the heart, the liver from another creature, which is what our immune system would do. So they take immune suppressing drugs and then are told to live carefully. Those folks get pneumonia or an infection, they can be goners. So the support, it'll cleanse the kidney, Volita, and support it with these herbs that I just read off. You want to keep that one kidney healthy. So I would absolutely recommend the Strauss kidney blood pressure drops. Next question from Amy. What is the difference between your Strauss heart drops and the Strauss cardio support drops? The latter of which I have, but have not taken yet. I'm wondering about the mistletoe ingredient and also have a mitral valve prolapse. The mistletoe is European mistletoe. That's very important because no, you wouldn't take other mistletoe, but European mistletoe is very helpful in this formula. The difference, really, I mean, the heart drops are fabulous because they're to make blood flow everywhere we have a vessel, to every cell in our body. That's why the most, in my opinion, the most important health product in the world is the Strauss heart drops. Um, the cardio support is to help our body rebuild damaged heart cells and for irregular heartbeat like I had. Um, Very effective. Again, it's a process. It takes time. It worked marvelous for me in 3 months. My best pal, who was a former ball player as well, but he got up to 400 pounds, was a very sick man when he moved into my house years ago. Um, it took him 5 months. He had a crazy irregular heartbeat. There was nothing regular about his irregular heartbeat. Mine was a raced beat every sixth or seventh beat. His was all over the map, from stop to 200 beats. I never saw anything like it. He was kind of fortunate that he didn't feel this crazy irregular heartbeat like I felt mine. Um, so he took 5 months. Another of our teammates, who after football started in the gymnasium business, he owned gyms, and he continued to work out with weights and pretty strenuous workouts. Um, he took 6 months to regulate his heartbeat. So again, our age, our condition, there's so many factors. It's just hard to say how long a person, but that's the longest that I know of is 6 months on the Cardiocom, cardio support drops. They're called cardio support in the United States, and they're called Cardiocom in Canada. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't hesitate, Amy, to take um, any of those formulas. They're just so good for you and so good for those parts of your body. No contraindication if you're on any pharmaceuticals. So, by all means, I would if I were you. I want everybody to have what I got. I was going to die young, and I prepared for that. And thank goodness I'm still here 37 years after the heart attack, rather. Valida, how long should the menopause formula be taken? Unfortunately, it seems now we only have the liquid back out for, I guess it's a full year now. I had one of my neighbors who took it early on. Fabulous. She said she hadn't used a blanket in 15 years. And now she uses a blanket every night. She doesn't wet her bedclothes or soak the bed anymore. She loves it. And I asked her, after she'd been taking it 4 or 5 months, would you do me a favor and stop taking it for a week? I want to see if you're just as bad as you were before, if you're not as bad, or if you don't have that trouble anymore. So I saw her a few weeks later and asked her if she did what I'd asked, and she said, "No, to heck with you. I stopped for almost a week and was sweating again at night." I said, "To heck with Wayne," and I went back on them. So as far as we know, you need to keep taking the menopause formula to get these results, to stop suffering the hot flashes and the night sweats. So that's the menopause formula. Is there a Strauss formula for mainly lungs? Sarcoidosis? No. We had one, fabulous, called Easy Breathe. And as I call them, the evildoers managed to get the herb comfrey root banned in the world. And that was a crying shame because it was in our Easy Breathe formula and in our bone and joint formula, which was an incredible formula. Me, my sons, we've all had broken bones and didn't have the surgery. I broke my left arm, both bones in 2 places, at the wrist and just below the elbow. The surgeon thought I was nuts when I said I want to try my way, and if it fails, um, Then can I still have the surgery? He said, yes, but you're going to have arthritis either way. I said, then I got nothing to lose, doc. He thought I was crazy. When I went back in a month after having an x-ray, he was blown away. He said, my God, you're healing so well. I'm going to start you on physio. And I said, well, I'm already, I'm running this shear at one of our yards as physio. And, could I hurt myself? It hurts when I'm climbing in and out of the charging box sometimes. He said, no, you would never stand the pain of going so far as to hurt yourself further. Well, I'll tell you, healed without these parts he was going to put in my arm, screws. And I actually stopped listening through part of it because he was kind of freaking me out. I didn't have the surgery, but I'll tell you something else. It's 20 years now. I don't have arthritis in that arm at all. So he was wrong about that. And I'm very grateful for that. That was with the bone and joint formula that had the comfrey root in it. So I actually make it as a private stock and not for resale because it is so great. That we have for ourselves and our friends, but we can't legally sell it. And I'll tell you something, no one ever got hurt from that herb, ever, anywhere. Pardon me. And just fabulous results with it. It's just a crying shame that they go after Big Pharma and some of the evildoers in this world. I mean, the word natural should be a clue. But apparently it's not. And of course, it doesn't help the sales of pharmaceuticals when you have something natural that works. Supreet says, are you contemplating allowing subscription options for shipments every 5 to 6 months as the big heart drop bottle lasts quite some time? Also, would it work on high ApoB levels? Any product specifically for high diastolic blood pressure? Thanks so much for putting the seal of your personal stories. Yes, absolutely. I would take the Strauss heart drops. You can become a Tammy, I forget what it's called. If you're still on with us, what it's called.
We do offer the subscriptions, but I'm not sure if it goes as far as 5 or 6 months. I think it might be every 3 months, but
Okay.
I can double check and I will definitely email you in the morning.
Okay. That's Supreet Moore that is asking.
Yes,
Um,
I've made note.
so, um, yes, for high blood pressure, I'd recommend the Strauss heart drops and the Strauss kidney blood pressure formula, Supreet. Then we guarantee your satisfaction. So, I mean, you could do one at a time if you wanted. But, if you can afford it, it costs about $1 a day to take each formula. Same as a small cup of coffee at the drive-through, really. Painless. It's easy. I mean, compared to things like open heart surgery and taking these heavy pharmaceuticals for life, it's just so easy, and so painless. Uh, Any formulas designed specifically for the lymphatic system? Christine, great question. And I am excited. Unfortunately, it's going to take the rest of this year, possibly even into winter. And the Strauss liver and lymphatic formulas are coming back in liquid form. Now, I am thrilled about this because our liver, of course, is our big filter. And you know what happens or what would happen in your vehicle if you didn't change the oil in the filters or your home furnace at home. If you didn't change the filter, it would eventually stop working properly. So that liver is our big filter. And the lymphatic system is just so important. Really, it's important to our immune system. Our lymphatic system is like the infantry or the Marines of the defense. Pardon me, my wife has a cold, and I think, pardon me, I've caught some of it. Anyway, it's like the infantry of our defense department, which is our immune system. If our lymphatic system is clogged in any way, our immune system cannot work properly. So it's a very important formula. I just can't wait till we have that back. Um, and the parasite formula. Uh, Parasites are just, it seems like Western medicine has come aware of parasites. Um, we have a great formula. It should be approved by the end of this year. I'm taking it now. As I say, we make many products as private stock, and it is effective and it is fabulous. And I am excited for the liver, the lymphatic, and I'd recommend that to anyone for sure. I mean, clean tissues, that's where it's at. Toxins and poisons in our body are just never going to be good for us. The obesity problem, again, one way to maintain a proper weight is to, first of all, slow down on your eating. I used to eat fast. I was an athlete. I was always eating quick because the ball game, baseball and football. Slow down your eating, chew properly. And what you will find when you slow down, I now easily maintain a weight. I played ball at 225 to 230 pounds. And then after, in my 40s, I'm 72 now, in my 40s, I got up to 240, 245 pounds, had a big appetite, and I ate fast. I would have indigestion, heartburn sometimes. If you slow down, you will eat less. Your stomach gets a chance to tell your brain you've had enough. I seldom, very, very seldom have a second helping or additional food. Sometimes I don't finish. I hate to waste. It's a sin to waste, my grandmother always told me. But sometimes do not finish a regular portion of food. Let's face it, when you're satisfied, you should stop. I used to hurry up as I was getting full. I didn't want to waste, and so my weight, it was hard to control. Today, I'm between 195 and 200. I never vary. I'm not on a diet. I don't. I still eat. I love my sweets and the butter tarts once in a while and so forth. Eat lots of fruit. So slowing down your eating is the easiest way to maintain your weight. Christine, you should just email me. I think Tammy's put my email address on there,
Adding it right now.
welliott@straussmax.com. Yeah. And Valida, the same thing. I very much want, my motivation is helping people like I got helped. I was just so lucky, heart disease runs in my family. I thought I was going to be the youngest one to go with heart disease since I had that heart attack at 35. And I am so grateful to still be here, to have the energy I have. This was not our main family business. We're environmentalists, we're recyclers, we're ship breakers. We scrap old ships, Navy ships, freighters. We have 4 yards in Canada where we do that ship recycling work. We're the oldest ISO certified ship breaker in the world, our family, since 1959. I'm very proud of that. We're battery recyclers, metal recyclers. This is the smallest family business, but to be honest with you, it's the one I'm most passionate about. It's the one I love the most. Jim Strauss always told me there is no reward like helping another human, even someone you'll never meet. He'd say on a radio show or on the telephone, and he is right. There is no reward like it, and it warms my heart. And I want everyone to have what I've had so far, painlessly maintain good health. I didn't have the open heart surgery. I don't take one drug. I haven't had an aspirin in 30 years. So I'm grateful for that, and I'll always be grateful. And I really want all you folks to have the same experience. So I guess I'm sorry I've run over time about 10 minutes, but I'm very passionate about this stuff, and I do want to help anybody who wants to help themselves. So I hope you give it to yourselves today. I hope you join us again. Contact me if you like. Tammy's put my email address on there, and I love to hear from you. And I love to hear good stories. That's my other motivation is when you do give it to yourself, and I find out that you're doing so well. So bless you, and all the best and good health. And I hope that you join us again. And I hope I get to talk to you. So thank you, and thanks for your nice comments. And I hope to talk to you again soon. So have a good night. That's it for now. Yeah, and happy, what is it today? Happy Tuesday. Okay, folks, take care now. Bye.